Let's talk about it.
And listen too.
Mrs. Schmidt and Mrs. Miller have been talking with you about proper ways to be a good speaker and to be a good listener.
So, over the next month, we're going to do some projects together and practice all those neat things that Mrs. Miller has taught you how to do. Like,
When you're speaking, you need to make sure that you're looking at the audience and you need to make sure that you're talking in a manner that is loud and clear. You want everybody to always make sure that they are hearing what you're saying so that they can understand and process what they are hearing. And when you're listening, you need to remember that it's important to look at the speaker. You need to make sure that you are not playing with things at your desk or in the car.
what if I have a question?
If you have a question, you should make sure that you restate what the speaker had said and then talk about your question after that. So, within the next month, you're going to be given 3 assignments. One is going to require you to speak to a partner and listen. One is going to require you to speak to a small group.
And listen.
And another one is going to ask you to present to a large group.
And listen to the presenter.
For the first assignment, you will be asked to watch this YouTube video. It's about keeping exotic animals as pets. After the video, you're going to have a discussion with a small group. Remember, you're going to practice speaking and you're going to practice listening and you're going to be in a small group. So at times you may use more informal language like you're visiting with friends, but there might be other times where you need to be a little bit more formal in your word choice.
So, after you've watched the video, within your group, you have 3 questions that you need to discuss. So make sure that you're using those good listening skills and those good speaking skills. So the first question that you need to discuss is, what reasons does the couple give to keep the tigers? You want to listen really closely while you've watched the video to see why does she think it's a good idea to have them. The next question you need to discuss is, do you agree with keeping wild animals as pets? And then finally, would you consider keeping a wild animal as a pet? Make sure with this question that you give reasons why you would or why you wouldn't. Remember, you'll be speaking and listening with one, or in a small group with one other person. So it might be pretty informal as you're discussing these things. You might not be using complete sentences, or you might be using kind of more informal language like, yeah, I agree with you, instead of, yes, I see your point. All right. All right, for our next assignment, you will be working with just a partner, and you'll go to this website, and when you get to this page, you want to find this tab that says Kids. You'll want to click on that tab, and it will take you to this page. And once you get to this page, you'll have 3 articles across the top. So you and your partner choose which article you'd like to read, and then pull that up, and then you'll read that article on your own. And then when you finish that article, you'll have some questions to discuss. So choose the article, read it alone, and then be ready to answer the discussion questions.
After reading the article, you and your partner are going to do all 3 of these items that we have created. The first one you are going to do is you're going to summarize the article that you just read. Secondly, you are going to identify the main idea of the article. And third, you are going to state your opinion and give reasons. Remember, you will be speaking and listening with one other person, so this is going to be probably a little bit more informal, again, like you're talking to your friends. You still need to remember when you're speaking to look at your partner and to speak clearly so that they can hear you. But you also, as a listener, are going to make sure you're looking at the person. You're going to make sure that you're nodding your head. That lets them know that you're listening. So for the last assignment, you will have read The Lost Lake. It's a story that was in your reading book that you read with Mrs. Schmidt. You will have discussed the story elements. You're going to create a presentation with a PowerPoint and address a large group.
So when you make your PowerPoint, you'll have 5 slides, and your first slide will be a title slide, and then you'll do a slide for each one of these items. So after you've created the title slide, then your first slide will be about the characters. So you'll need to make sure you list all the major characters that are there and then maybe a little description about each one. Then the next slide should be the setting. The setting changes in the story, so you'll want to make sure you get both places, and then remember the setting is the when and the where. The fourth slide will be the plot. So you'll want to give a really kind of brief beginning, middle, and end what happens. And then lastly, your last slide will be the problem and solution. So you'll talk about what really happened with the boy and what happened with his dad and how they solved that.
Remember, when you're presenting to a large audience, such as a classroom full of students or people, you are going to want to make sure that your word choice is more informal. As a speaker, you're going to want to make sure, again, that you're speaking clearly and loudly, and you're going to want to make eye contact with everyone in the room. And that means you kind of have to scan the room, remember. You don't want to just talk in front of the crowd with your head down, but you also don't want to just look at one person the whole time you're presenting. You want to, move from the left side of the room to the right side of the room. As a listener, you are going to want to make sure you're still keeping your eyes on the speaker, but you're also going to want to make sure, again, that you're not, fiddling with things at your desk. You don't want to distract the people that are sitting around you or next to you.
So we hope you had fun doing these 3 different projects and speaking and listening to your class. So we really hope that you have had fun talking about it.
And listening too.